Buffs, buffs, and more buffs. Newcastle just got the biggest buff a legend has ever received in Apex. He's arguably now the strongest legend ever in the game. And we have the #1 Newcastle right here to take us through all of these changes, give us his biggest tips and tricks, share his gameplay stats, controller settings, and explain to us why he's unhappy with these insane buffs. Let's do it.
Y'all, I so red I can't see what's real. Roll me up a blunt.
The #1 Newcastle on all platforms is Levels. He has almost 100,000 kills on Newcastle. He's an Apex Predator, an ex-COD pro, absolutely insane at the game, and also an amazing content creator. So go check him out on all his socials right here. He's gonna take us through everything there is to do with Newcastle, from his biggest tips and tricks to showing you his secret wall fighting strategy, and then of course tell us how to counter the almost unkillable legend. But first, let's have a look at all the changes Newcastle just got and get the #1 Newcastle thoughts on them. Alright, so we spoke about Newcastle a few months ago, like 3 or 4 months ago. And in that, you said that you thought Newcastle was in a really good spot. He was one of the best legends in the game. The only thing was he had a high skill level. So if you were good at him or average at him, he was super strong, it was really good. But if you weren't, you were kind of bad at the game. Newcastle has now got an absurd amount of changes, as long as being a support legend as well. What do you think about Newcastle now? What are your overall thoughts?
I'm enjoying them overall because it is, like anyone would say, it is quite fun having your legend to be buffed. But at the same time, I'm also thinking that the skill gap has dropped dramatically. Like anyone can really use him now, which I'm not fond of because I put so much time into practicing him and mastering him that it kind of went to waste a little bit. So with all the buffs and stuff, yeah, I think it's definitely overkill.
I agree. I feel like there are some legends that should always have that really high skill gap. And they should be hard to play. We have to actually invest time to be decent at them.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, let's actually talk about the changes with Newcastle. His tactical, I believe. His mobile shield now doesn't have a health bar, doesn't take damage, and you can move it while down. What are your thoughts on those changes?
The shield having like no damage taken to it that's probably one of the main things that's taken away from the skill gap. Don't like it all too much because now like it doesn't matter how you place your shield, it's always going to be there from start to finish, where before you would actually have to think. So that's definitely removed sort of the thoughts behind playing him. Moving it well down, I personally think I've always wanted that anyway. I don't think it's too OP. Some people might disagree, but I think it helps definitely when someone's on your shield or playing on your shield against your teammate.
What about the knockdown shield? Knockdown shield got to change as well. Well, when you're rezzing someone, for example, I believe your knockdown shield has more HP than normal, so it's harder to shoot through.
Yeah, I don't mind that change, to be fair. It's an alright change because in reality, I feel like Newcastle's knockdown shield is bigger, it is more powerful, so I can understand why they've added more health to it. But I also think that with the speed res and all that you have now, it sort of contradicts like the changes that they've made.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at his ult as well, his ult's got a lot of changes. Like last time we got the major changes, he got the, I believe it was stopping nade, so like the Watson pylon effect on it. Now he's got the other Watson pylon effect. He's just taken Watson's abilities. Did I read that it gives you shields now as well? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's 15 seconds, I'm pretty sure, on hitting the ground, which is enough time to get all your shields back without having to heal, and I think it goes the exact same speed than the Watson does. The only thing is that a lot of people haven't realized yet is that if you do get shot, it stops.
Oh, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, they're all the changes to Newcastle, I believe, but obviously he got a lot of changes by being a support legend as well. So the support legend changes are: you move at full speed while you're healing, and you can also B-hop heal, so you can move ridiculously fast. Revive speed's increased and grants HP, full HP by the way, even though it is over time. And beacons also respawn when crafting banners. Like, that's crazy strong by itself, but when comboed with Newcastle, it's absurd, right?
Yeah, no, it is broken. It is completely broken. It should not be a thing. So like, they took B-hop healing out of the game for a reason. Because it was just so damn hard to kill people who are moving full speed while healing. It's insane.
And now they added it back, but they only added it back for supports, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. And it's also mixed with the gold shield heals as well. That you can pop 2 cells. You can pop 2 cells and get, yeah.
Yeah.
So like, it's just all these. It's too much.
So overall, looking at all the Newcastle changes, would you say that most of them were just not needed and he's just crazy too strong now?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's not needed at all.
Obviously, when we spoke last time, you said that you thought he was in a fine position. Out of all the changes that he got, are there any that you would keep, or do you think they should all just be removed?
The moving down, like while you're down, moving in a knockdown, I think, or moving a shield, I think would be good to keep. It's just you can't do all that much with it, but it can, if you use it right, you can actually win the games with it. I think crafting with a respawn beacon for support only is good. I think like that will sort of the support meta if that's what they want to bring into the game. But everything else, yeah, no, not along with how Lifeline is and how Gibby is as well right now, and it's all too much.
Okay, well, let's just talk more about Newcastle in general and as he is as a legend now. Perk-wise, are there two perks that you think are the most important to grab, or do you think it can be interchangeable between them, or what are your thoughts on the perks?
I say this a lot to people because I get asked this question quite a lot. It's all down to how you play. So if you and your team are very defensive, let's say over aggressive or confident, or you're learning him, there's two perks I'd definitely probably go with is the res speed and the wall for the end games, so you can get your positions, stuff like that. If you're passive and aggressive as well, you like to do both. Probably the speed on the shield and then the wall for the end game. And if you're just straight up like you're one of these pred teams that just fly at people and roll the lobby, then probably the speed wall and the health regain on Newcastle's out, because you're gonna just want all the health you can get.
Yeah, so it's just playstyle based on what you pick.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing though. Like a lot of legends, they have perks where they're just like, some of them are just write-offs. I like the fact that with Newcastle, it actually like which one you pick actually matters. Or I mean, not that matters, but like which one you pick dictates the playstyle, and they're all useful. I think that's genuinely really cool.
It buffs playstyles a lot more in a way.
Yeah, that's cool. I wish all perks were like that. Okay, well, playstyle wise, when we spoke a while ago after the last changes to Newcastle, you said Newcastle was best played in an aggressive manner. Has that changed now? Do you think you need, like, the best way to play him is still aggressive? Obviously now being alive as a Newcastle is so important because the res is so strong, etc. Well, what do you think's the best play style for him right now?
I think from before, I'll happily admit, I did play a lot of pubs. So naturally you do want to be more aggressive in pubs. I played a lot more ranked recently. So in a ranked sense, you want to be anchor. You want to be that your teammates sort of support. That's what he's in general. That's what he's made for. He can be great aggressively either way, but I think you want to master all rounds. He's a character that can now just do everything.
He kind of just does what's needed at the time.
Yeah, if you need to be aggressive for your teammates, you can be. If you need to hold someone down, hold a room down, split up rooms, he can do that. If you need to res and in really odd situations, he can do that. In reality, you want to be last alive every single time. You don't want to be the first person in that fight, because if one goes down, 3v2, as long as your teammate can hold it, you can res, but the likelihood is you will just get absolutely aped on. So you want to be that support to make sure, holding angles to make sure people can't just push up on some bad knock or something like that.
Alright, well, your biggest tips and tricks, if you had to give, say, 3 or 4 big tips and tricks for Newcastle players, what are they? But quickly, before we get into those big tips and tricks for Newcastle, along with the best weapons for him and so much more, let's have a look at his stats. First off, obviously, he has almost 100,000 kills on Newcastle, 10,000 plus revives as well. That's quite a lot. As you can see, shotgun's his main weapons, both badges almost maxed out. In total, he has 23,000 games played, 5,000 wins, which is what? A little bit lower with 20% win rate? Not bad, not bad. Or a little bit above, actually, my bad. He has 25 million damage, 100,000 plus kills. His highest ever kills is 37. His longest win streak is 7. Also, that says 7.0. Is that a new feature they added? That's weird. Anyway, last season, season 22, obviously because this season just started, he had 2.5k games and 16,000 kills. That is a lot of kills. Highest kills was 31, 5 longest win streak. Honestly, there's some pretty nuts stats. Alright, well, your biggest tips and tricks, if you had to give, say, 3 or 4 big tips and tricks for Newcastle players, what are they?
I think they are very the same than I've always been. Aggressive-wise, use your abilities to split up fights. So if you notice that you can block off somewhere and take a 1-on-1 or 2-on-1 with a team, then use his shield, and definitely use his shield now. Jesus, now it can't be destroyed. If one pushes in and 2 are still a little bit back into the room, block off that room, take on your 3v1. Use Newcastle to basically control the fights. If they are more than sort of 20 meters away, and you know they've just got a nice down from distance on your teammate, just insta-res it. Don't try and hold them off. Don't try and do any. Don't try and be the aggro player. Just do what a support is supposed to do. Hit that res instantly and bring them back into cover, and then you've just instantly got a free reset. And then also defensive wise, just have in mind your positioning, definitely for the late games, because now there is a lot more players about. You need to really think of where your positioning is, and Newcastle is amazing at making a bad position as well a good position. So use your ult whenever you have it in those areas. If you're holding down a place, just use your ult, or if you are with a Gibby, try and sort of work with the Gibby to use your Qs as cover when you need them. I think those are main tips right now for Newcastle to sort of change up how the games go for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree, yeah. Before we speak more on Newcastle and go into more depth on him, Levels has some tips on how to use his wall, ult, and wall fight correctly as well. First up, Levels is going against another Newcastle, and in this he shows a few things. First up, taking angles with the super glide to get the surprise shot on. Then taking control of the walls with his own movement on them, and of course punching the other player out of them. Punching when inside a Newcastle wall or a Gibby bubble is super strong because it gives you complete control of all the cover and they're out wide in the open.
Just the difference that happens when I sweat compared to when I'm just
literally. And in this one here, where he's going up against a non-Newcastle, he shows how you can use your wall to cut off angles so they can't shoot you while you can move around more freely. And finally in this one, he very simply uses his wall to move up closer and then uses his ult to take high ground behind. He was actually aiming for the high ground but missed it, but still got the high ground needed to win the fight. Nice, you played that so well. I'm guessing you had to move up a little bit to get the distance to use the ult behind him.
Yeah, I was trying to get up there, but it locked onto there, and then as I pressed it, it went back down.
It was still good. I mean, you still got hide against him, etc. It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
Well, like, okay, if you had to rank Newcastle in 2 separate categories, if you had to rank him in relation to all the other supports, where would you rank him? And if you had to rank him overall in all of Apex, legend-wise, where would you rank him? Kind of like the, you know, the tier list S, A, B, C, D kind of vibe.
Yeah. Over right now, S tier.
So he's S tier overall, and out of the supports, do you reckon he's the best support?
100%. Lifeline is great. She's got obviously the faster heals and stuff like that in the circle, but overall, I always look at the overall thing of what a legend can do, and Newcastle just bypasses everyone.
Yeah,
now.
I mean, I think the versatility is just absurd what he offers compared to every other legend in the game.
Yeah, it's broken.
No, I agree completely. Alright, weapon-wise, when we spoke last time, you said shotguns, PK Mastiff mainly, were the best to run them. Is it still shotguns? Yeah?
100%, yeah, always.
Okay, and with that as well, do you reckon, as you're the anchor, do you reckon it's best to run an AR so that you do have distance on you as well when shooting and anchoring?
Yeah, definitely if you want about rounds, you want to be running like Nemis, flatlines, 301s. It all depends, obviously, the gun that you like. I personally go Nemi now. So Nemi with a Mastiff is just, yeah,
perfect,
it's really good.
I get ya. Okay, and counter-wise, what are the best counters to Newcastle these days?
Gonna have to give me a minute to think.
I mean, because there used to be, you know, Maggie was decent, and to an extent, Crypto was okay, but their ability to counter Newcastle, both have now been nerfed.
Yeah, I haven't come across a Crypto yet. Does a Crypto still destroy the Newcastle shield? Like the Q?
I don't believe so. No, it does not destroy it. I will check and I'll put it in the video if we're wrong, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't destroy it.
Yeah. I think the only counter to him now is either Maggie's Q, but that's purely only on his shield. But to be honest, a good Newcastle doesn't care, in honesty, because you know exactly how far, because it happens so much, you tend to learn how far to move your shield forward so you don't get hurt by it. I mean, it blocks off vision a little bit and stuff like that, but overall, it's not really a counter. I think maybe Seer a bit of a counter because you can't use your abilities,
and it kind of gives you vision of where to pre-aim them when they're peeking and stuff as well.
Yeah. So I think maybe Seer slightly is a bit of a slight counter, but overall doesn't.
Yeah, there really isn't many counters to Newcastle. I mean, I guess
there isn't. I'm looking at the legends now. There's literally none.
I guess the best counter to him is playstyle. Kind of. How would you say? How would you go against fighting the Newcastle? Would it be to try and, obviously you try and 3-2-1 him and burst him and kill him instantly, but if you can't do that, is it just about trying to take angles and try and angle him out of his wall and whatnot?
Yeah, I think it's more angles. Obviously people who aren't used to playing against Newcastles or play Newcastle themselves, like obviously with me, I notice certain mistakes that other people won't notice, that I will make a play on. But overall, for some people who don't know how to play him, I say just try and take angles and try and see when they've messed up on a res, or if they're resing and you're also close, just full send it and try and wipe that team as quick as you can, and so you're ready for the next team that comes either to third. Or I think one of the main ways to kill someone who's like a Newcastle that's resing or something like that is to try and nade behind them and make them turn so they have to block the grenade, otherwise
definitely. That's a conversation I was having with my friend yesterday. He was like, so what do we do now that support legends can just res super fast and constantly res each other? And I was like, nades are the only way to deal with that. You just nade them instantly so they can't, or they have to move. But like, if Newcastle's got his wall there, it's potentially undoable. It's actually crazy.
Yeah, and if you have a good Newcastle with a shield, they don't need to turn around. They will use that. Like, I already do it. People try and nade me, and I use my shield to block off the things while I'm resin. So I don't actually have to move all that much.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's insane.
Okay, well, team comp. What would you say is the best team comp for Newcastle? In Pred ranked and high ranked at the moment, it's a lot of triple supports. But would you say that's best, or would you like to have maybe 2 supports and a movement legend like a Pathfinder or something? Like, what are your thoughts?
I think for a team that is very good, let's say, your top Pred teams, I don't think they need a double support. I still think having 2 legends that can push stuff when they need to is good, but you just got to be a lot more wary on the healing side of stuff. But if you want to run 2 supports, I think something like Gibby and Newcastle is insane. Because now Gibby's Q is less. You literally have, if you and your Gibby are sort of together and know how to play with each other, you have unlimited cover. So by the time Gibby's Q comes down, Newcastle's Q is ready. By the time Newcastle's Q comes down, Gibby's Q is ready. Like, it's insane. Yeah, like you're impossible to push unless they push into it. It is nuts.
Legend-wise, what do you reckon is the best to combo with him? Yeah.
Newcastle, Gibby, and I think Pathfinder. I think Pathfinder's quite a decent legend to sort of make it so you can get out of situations. You can rotate. You can have the Pathy play its life quite well to push up, push back, stuff like that. Whereas obviously Newcastle and Gibby doesn't have that as freely. But I think you always need at least one legend in there that can sort of do that sort of stuff when you need it, because it can change the game completely. But everyone else, so yeah, I'd say Newcastle Lifeline, Newcastle Gibby, and then like a Pathy or Rev or something like that can play their life a lot more. There
is a few aspects of the support meta right now that I do like. I mean, it promotes more endgames. There's more teams alive towards the end of the game because obviously people are not inting as hard and as fast as they used to. It's, fights are more drawn out, etc. And it's obviously good for mouse and keyboard players with, the bubble fights and the wall fights, etc. So I do like those aspects of it. And I do like, the meta changing and being changed up. But obviously it's way too strong. So my only thing is, like, I'm fine with stuff like this happening. I just hope they, in a couple of weeks, they change it and make it more balanced. Like, stuff like this is fine as long as they reactive change it. But they won't. Like, they won't.
Yeah.
It'll be the end of the season.
No. It's Apex. It's EA level.
Oh, what about you yourself? Now that Newcastle's got a massive, absolutely ridiculous buff, is there anything you're looking at doing? Are you still just going to largely play pubs? Are you going to go for the ranked grind? Are you focusing more on your own content? What are your thoughts?
As of right now, I've got 2 main things in mind. Is my content. I want to do a lot more fun stuff. I know I'm sweaty, but I'm not like, I don't take it so seriously. So I do try and just have more of a fun time and try and make of what it is. And I also really want to hit 100k on Newcastle because I'm only 9k off now. And it would look very nice to see 6 digits.
It will be. It is very nice. It is very nice.
Yeah. I might do ranked, or I'll do ranked in the future.
Yeah.
I hit pred last season, but then stopped. So decided to solo queue. Was not the
No,
was not
it's
the right thing to
definitely
do.
not. No.
Dipped straight out instantly. A good few minus thousands a day. It was rough. But yeah, I might go into ranked, but at the moment I'm just purely just having fun with it and just making fun content and kill
I
grinding.
vibe that. That's actually awesome. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying Apex. Make sure to check out levels. Keep being awesome, and more videos coming soon.